I guess it's time to start. So thank you all for being here today. I know you're very busy and I know you are dying to hear more about the Portuguese golden visa via the funds route. We have a team of specialists here with us to hopefully answer all those questions that you have right now. So as you can see my slide, here with us, we have our Chief Financial Officer, Luis Filho. He has already helped many individuals and families in this path for citizenship by investment in Portugal via the Golden Visa, the investment funds. And we also have Lorenzo Alvarez. He is a business development and product specialist. He will give us a very good overview on the landscape of the Portuguese market, fund market in this day and age, and what is there for you. So some admin now, so just so you know, this is being recorded and you will be sent via email afterwards. So if you're not able to stay all the way to the end, do not worry, it's absolutely fine. And we will open a Q&A session at the end as well. If you're not able to stay, do not worry. We have a chat here, sorry, a Q&A chat, you will see right at the top or the bottom of your screen. And you were able to jot down your questions there and our team will be able to answer. And I think that's it. So let's start. So what we're covering today, just a brief overview of our agenda. So we will start with the history of Golden Visa, but very quickly, do not worry. We'll see how the investment funds changed the landscape of the Portuguese fund market. Then Lorenzo will talk about the criteria and the different types of funds for investments. Then some topics on how why you should invest in Portugal and why free funds. Some great news, which is the recent nationality law changes, so we'll tap into that as well. And finally, why you should be working with us. So now I will pass it on to Luis Filho, Chief Financial Officer, to give you a brief overview on the Golden Visa through the investment fund. So Luis, it's over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Gisania, for the start. Before my role as a CFO of GCS, I used to support our clients who were interested in funds as the investment route for the Golden Visa in Portugal. So I have been doing this job for quite a while now. I started the company together with my partners, and I have been following this since 2018. So I think it's important to tell a brief history of the investment funds in Portugal, particularly related to the Golden Visa program. Okay, the Golden Visa program of Southern Europe countries started after the financial crisis of 2008. It was created with the aim of attracting the foreign capital and boosting the country's economy after the crisis. The property sector was particularly impacted in the crisis, and investment in real estate was needed to prop up the deflated sector. So since 2012, many changes have occurred to the Golden Visa program in Portugal, as you can see in the timeline. Funds have become popular in 2018, when investment required to apply for the Golden Visa was 350,000 euros via funds. Investors who didn't want to invest in a property abroad because they didn't want to maintain a house abroad, or simply wanted to diversify out of residential real estate, they had an alternative route, right? They could invest in funds with different exposures, ranging from real estate to technology, which is a very popular choice until today, right? It has been always a very popular choice. So since 2019, we have experienced the number of funds increase from 5 or 7 to over 25 over the next 3 years. The market developed quite a lot. In 2022, the requirement to invest in funds increased to 500,000 to apply for the golden visa. And those days, we thought that such investment option wouldn't be able to sustain that strong pace from previous years, because after all, the larger amount required was much higher. But luckily, the strong dollars versus the euro, alongside the multitude of all those attractive options that investors could diversify their funds, meant that for investors, in particular from the USA, continue with their interest towards funds. And then at the end of 2023, there was a last change to accommodate the new more housing bill in Portugal, right? And that means that funds could not focus on real estate as an investment policy any longer. But by then, investors were very familiar with the other options in the market, funds that invest in technology, hospitality, industry, and commerce in general. So if we move to the next slides, and yes, I can, over the past, over the last 5 years, we have seen over 700 good investors that decided to invest in funds in Portugal, bringing more than 250 million euros to the country. That's quite a large contribution. In general, on average, 3 in every 10 applications were funds until 2023, right? So by the end of 2023, the market developed. There were more than 35 options to invest compared to 5 or 7 in the beginning when we started working with the funds. And the market has grown significantly to attract the foreign investors, in particular golden visa investors.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Luis. I do. I think it was very good that you took this approach of giving us a bit of a history, because first of all, you also mentioned about real estate investment, which is not for everyone. It's a sort of investment that requires a lot of overseeing locally as well. So it must be hard to do that from a different country. And but you also mentioned about the exponential growth of the investment funds route, which looks like a very smart move from the Portuguese government to implement this option as a route for citizenship via the golden visa. So I have a couple of questions before you go and we talk to Lorenzo. Just one thing to be clear: so the investment of 500K, does it all need to be into one fund, or it can be split into different funds?
No, you can split your investment across 2 or 3 funds. You can put 250 in one fund, 250 in another, and that's a good way of diversifying, right? Funds are very diversified in their investment policies.
Yeah.
But you can diversify further by splitting your 500,000 across 2 or even 3 funds, right? Some of our clients decide to put all their investment into one fund because they like it. Fund diversifies. It's exactly what they want. So it's entirely up to our clients to split the investment according to to what makes sense for them.
Yeah, so it's good that there's this flexibility. And then one more thing. So now thinking about the Golden Visa program, do you think that the investment fund route helped improve the local fund market in Portugal?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you access the reports provided by the CMVM, which is the regulator in Portugal, the equivalent of FCA or SEC in the US, FCA in the UK, SEC in the US, the CMVM is the regulator, and they publish reports with the statistics about assets under management. And you can see that assets under management across the venture capital and private equity industry jumped 18% from 21 to 22. And a good portion of this growth rate can be explained by the contribution of GV investors, the Golden Visa investors.
I see.
We believe this rate will continue in 2022 to 23, but we're just waiting for that report to be finished so far and published.
Okay.
And the market has become competitive. You see in the growth of 35 options these days or more. So funds now have to charge lower fees and target high returns to attract the foreign investors.
Yeah. No,
Bear in mind that fund managers want to perform well so that they can hopefully retain that golden visa investors for the longer term. Many high net worth individuals may consider retiring in Europe, for example.
yeah.
So having that client over the longer term makes sense for the funds. They need to deliver.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, of course. So it's just great news for the investor. It's very reassuring. So Luis, thank you very much for that. Don't relax yet because you're going to come back. We'll have more questions for you. But now, since you mentioned the landscape of the funds market, I'd like to invite Lorenzo to talk to us about the Golden Visa Free Investment Funds. Let us know about the criteria, the variety of funds that are available to investors. Hi, Lorenzo.
Thanks, Gizan, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Luis, for those notes on the recent history of Golden Visa funds. I think it's always important to revisit the past to have a better understanding of the present and to prepare for the future. That's what we try to do here when assisting our Golden Visa clients. Today, we'll try to give an updated overview of the Golden Visa funds route, highlighting the matters that we consider most relevant and answering some of the questions that are often put by our clients that have gone through the process. We won't have time to cover every aspect, but we'll certainly save some time for questions at the end of the presentation to make this session more interactive. First question that I'd like to answer is what qualifies a fund for Golden Visa purposes? So Luis already kind of answered the first criteria. These funds must be registered under Portuguese law. And by having so, they are subject to the supervision and regulation of the Portuguese Securities Markets Commission as a very similar legal framework and as to the SEC and the FCA, as responsible for assuring consumer protection in the financial markets. These funds are also audited annually by accredited and third-party accounting firms such as Deloitte, Ernst & Young, and so on. And they must provide their reporting every 6 months. Some funds, they even do that on a quarterly basis so that investors can track the performance of the funds more frequently. Second criteria, funds must invest at least 60% in Portuguese companies. I think this is understandable because the rationale behind is that Golden Visa funds will foment the economy and generate jobs. You have to look at this investment as your contribution to the country in exchange with a special residence permit. Thirdly, last criteria is that a fund, in order to qualify, needs to have at least 5 years of maturity at the time of your investment. Again, this 5-year period is your contribution to the country over time.
Thanks, Lorenzo. So now it just talks about what qualifies a fund for for Golden Visa. Now, what types of funds are there?
Yeah, fair question. I think you probably skim one of the slides, but yeah, exactly.
That's it. So who else invests in these funds? Sorry.
No worries, no worries. I think it's good to have this answer first. Well, usually funds, in order to assure a certain degree of credibility in the market, they will start off by raising capital with more professional investors such as family offices, pension funds, investment banks, and only after having achieved that credibility in the market, they will open their gates, so to speak, for other retail investors such as golden visa investors. So, and besides these usual suspects, more recently we have been witnessing a very, very strong contribution from the state-owned development bank that is entrusted with channeling major EU funding packages. We're talking about hundreds of billions that are up for grabs, so to speak. And I say this because fund managers have to, in order to access these funds, they need to present solid business plans that can go anywhere up to 60 to 70% of the fund's target. So it's a lot of, it's a very strong contribution. These funds will have to meet certain criteria, requirements such as governance, diversification, sustainable goals. Yeah. I don't know if Luis wants to.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. I mean, the role of the development bank. I think it's a big bonus in the equation because funds who have the bank, the development bank, as their investor will likely raise the capital they target much faster than otherwise, alongside the contribution from private investment, right? And because they must invest in Portuguese entities, which is a requirement of the development bank, by default, they happen to qualify for the Golden Visa program as well. So that means the majority of venture capital and private equity funds that have the development bank as an investor will likely have Golden Visa investors alongside. So it's a very interesting dynamic these days.
Yeah, thanks, Luis. Finally, just to add that very often fund managers themselves, they are also investors in the fund. They want to show that they have skin in the game and that their interests are aligned with the investors. Yeah, so moving on.
Okay. Let's give a pause here quickly. We have a lot more people that joined us since we first started. So just to say that we've already started with the history of the Golden Visa through the investment funds. And now we're going through the types of funds that are available there. But this recording, this webinar will be recorded and sent to you. So you'll be able to catch up on everything that you might have missed from the beginning. So yeah, back to Lorenzo. Tell us what types of funds are there.
Thanks, Giselle. I'll start off with venture capital funds. As you might know, these funds invest in high growth, in early stage startups with high growth potential. When talking about startups in Portugal and the startup landscape in Portugal, it's important to note that the country has become a booming and attractive destination for digital nomads and entrepreneurs, not only for the exceptional quality of life, pleasant weather, of course, but also for its strategic location. It's a gateway to Europe, a bridge to Africa and America. The talented workforce, as you can see there in the graph, I think the graph really represents well the landscape. The talented workforce with high levels of English proficiency, engineering, software development, as well as the favorable public and public policies and incentives. These are all crucial elements for the accelerating of a startup ecosystem. Before I joined GCS, I was working at the Portuguese Trade and Investment Agency in London. And during those years, I really witnessed the amount of IT business, digital enterprises that from startups to giants such as Google and IBM, opening up shop in Portugal for its business environment, of course, and its the skill set available. Just a note on Lisbon, quick note. As you might know, Lisbon has been hosting Web Summit, arguably the largest tech conference in the world for the past 8 years. And I think that really put Portugal and especially Lisbon on the map. Next up, different from VC funds, we have the private equity funds that invest in more established companies that are already market proven and that usually have positive operational results. The goal of these funds is to acquire several companies, restructure them, improve them, expand to other markets, especially consolidate these and then sell it at a package or at a multiple. If you look at the pie chart there, I would like to give some attention to that figure. 70% of all Portuguese businesses are family owned and contribute to an impressive 2/3 of the GDP. What does this mean? Means that the market in Portugal is pretty much fragmented, that there is a lot of opportunities to consolidate business and grow them efficiently. Very often, family businesses face challenges such as succession, lack of professional management, and difficult access to capital. And private equity funds can really help overcome these challenges, enabling them to reach their full potential. Moving just a quick note on the types of private equity funds. You have the ones that are sector agnostic, investing across different industries depending on the opportunistic timing and the growth potential. The market in Portugal is small, so fund managers, they can leverage their network in order to seize opportunities across sectors. Then you have those private equity funds that focus solely on a sector in particular, and that can go from renewable energy, agribusiness, hospitality, blue economy, healthcare. The first ones that I mentioned, they're actually thriving sectors in Portugal. Hospitality is understandable due to the great number of tourists that come to Portugal every day, and the fact that the tourism and travel industry contribute to the GDP. Renewable energy, Portugal really has the conditions to harness wind power, solar power, hydro, and so on. Special mention to the agribusiness sector that also has favorable conditions to flourish high yield crops such as olive oil, wine, cork. You probably heard about these. Anyway, moving on to the final and third type of funds. There are a couple, not a lot. There are only a few open-ended funds that, opposite to VC and private equity funds, they don't have a defined term. They are meant to run over time. These funds normally invest in bonds or a mix of stocks and bonds, and usually owning listed companies in Portugal. Portuguese stock index integrates only 16 of the largest Portuguese companies. And so, as you can see, the stock market is quite small in Portugal. Nevertheless, 2023 was an amazing year for the listed companies that, as you can see through the green bars, registered profit records. Moving on to...
Apologies.
Yeah, I think the current snapshot. Just quickly, this is this month current snapshot, the available funds. Luis mentioned 35. I count probably 40 here, but please note that this list is constantly changing because funds open and close for subscription. But lately, we've actually seen more funds being launched, I guess, due to the EU funding packages that are available, and also because Golden Visa funds became the most prominent investment route. So you have an array of options to pick from, and as we shared, you can diversify by cherry picking the funds that are most aligned with your profile and intentions.
Excellent, thank you. So who is going to answer this question now? Why Portugal?
I can take that, Gisele.
Go for it.
Because, we have been selling Portugal for a long time, but now if you look at the news these days, I think Portugal is selling itself. The newspapers are selling Portugal, right? So the headlines that you see there are fresh from the press. You find them in the Financial Times this month. And these two pictures were taken in Lisbon. But in a nutshell, the Southern Europe countries are growing faster than larger stagnant economies in the Eurozone, like Germany, right? Portugal was the 5th fastest growing economy in the bloc in 2023, right? But Portugal, different from Spain or Italy, the young professionals in Portugal will most likely be fluent in English, which is a bonus for multinationals setting up subsidiaries in the country. And moreover, I think the country offers a talented and technically educated workforce at very competitive rates, right? The high living standards are very affordable for the digital nomad as well, who finds Lisbon, an European Silicon Valley of sorts. And a growing number of entrepreneurs are migrating to Portugal. We can ascertain that for a fact because we support many of those entrepreneurs and digital nomads moving to the country with our immigration and relocation services. I mean, for me, origin from Brazil, a very chaotic place, high crime rates. I find safety of Portugal with its lowest crime rates in the European Union, perhaps the cherry in the cake, right? So it is a place where you can find a booming economy. It's in a very good cycle today. I think, investing in Portugal today is it's in a good time for it. And also the quality of life just, complements the whole picture. So yes, we are long Portugal. I think we encourage investment. That's for sure.
Yeah, thanks, Luis. You answered why Portugal. I will try to
I'm
answer.
sorry, I just moved one slide again.
I will try to answer why the funds, why this.
That's you, Lorenzo. Go.
Why this asset class in particular. So at GCS, we actually want our clients to view the investment in these funds as genuine financial opportunities, not just vehicles to obtain residency and citizenship in the long run. So I think this is a great asset class to own, especially in countries like Portugal, where the economy and the respective companies will really benefit from that push to unlock their full potential. I understand that 500,000 is a substantial amount of money to invest in a country that we know little. Hopefully, by the end of the webinar, we'll know a bit more. But please do your own research and come back to us with any questions you may have. On this slide, sorry, Gizana, I just wanted to add one or two more things. When investing in these funds, you'll have the confidence that you will be investing alongside professional investors and that contribute to the strong capital raise of these funds. It will bring some ease, some confidence to know that they are regulated and supervised. It will give you a certain diversification, and by this I mean geographical diversification in an emerging but stable economy. Tax implications of investing in these funds are actually good. There is a tax exemption on funds earnings from funds for golden visa investors that don't happen to not reside in Portugal. 10% if you decide to move to Portugal. I think one of the great things about funds is that you delegate the burden of the management that are motivated to bring returns to its investors in order to access performance fees. As we shared, fund managers will only start getting great remuneration when they access performance fees, and that can only be achieved if they bring a minimum target of returns for its investors. So why not combine a residency investment program with potentially an interesting returns? I think that's my question to you. Final note, the fund's maturity. Funds usually have a term between 6, 7, up until 10 years, so depending on the investment strategy. This corresponds to your lockup period, so it's also important to note that Golden Visa is a medium long-term investment. The road to citizenship takes approximately 6 to 7 years. I know Gizan will give a note especially on that.
Thank you, Lorenzo. That was really good. So just to picking on what Lorenzo mentioned about the fund's term and maturity marrying well with time to citizenship, I think we have good news to you all. So there were some changes, some positive changes in the nationality law, Portuguese nationality law. So it's a new amendments centered on Article 15, which basically what it all means. It means that the clock starts ticking when you apply for the golden visa. So the 5-year period starts there. And that makes the Portuguese golden visa a very attractive one compared to the other out there, the other golden visa programs out there. So it's something to take into consideration because your 5-year period starts to run from the date of the GV application, okay? Now, moving forward, as you all know, the golden visa has other benefits which you probably researched that before, but you never know. It's important to highlight. So there is a short stay requirement of 7 days per year, 14 days over 2 years. That's basically a holiday. So you book your holidays to Portugal and that's it. That's your requirement. Residency and employment privileged in Portugal, and the Schengen area will be open for you without the need of a visa. There is also the possibility of family reunification, which is great. It's a 5-year path to permanent residence permit and nationality through naturalization, access to the Portuguese healthcare system, which is a very good healthcare system, and even the private healthcare, if we compare to what it's paid in the US, for instance, it's a fraction of the value. And of course, there is Portugal's quality of life, as Luis talks about, the abundance of sun, the excellent food, so wine and sardines abound. It's a life that should be envied by anyone who enjoys this kind of lifestyle. So now we're going to move forward to why you should work with us, our expertise, and how we can help you through this process. So I'm going to ask my colleague Luis to come back.
Thank you, Zane. Thank you very much. So why global citizen solutions? So we have experience in the field, right? We can say with confidence that over 30% of all golden visa applications that you saw there, those 700 golden visa applications via funds, 30% of those clients were GCS clients, as a matter of fact. So we have helped hundreds of clients through investment funds, and we are very proud of that, right? So some of clients refer to other clients, and we are very proud of all that work we have been doing, right? When it comes to funds, we keep close contact with the fund managers so that our clients can have access to the most updated information. Funds open and close for subscription over time. I mean, there are now 40 options, as Lorenzo pointed out. It's a very dynamic market. And our clients cannot afford to consider options that are no longer available or do not qualify for the program, right? So we want to make sure that they have access to open and eligible opportunities. With that, we schedule meetings with fund managers. It's important that they meet you. They are very responsive to talk about their businesses. And we also provide the support during the fund's subscription phase. I think the most important piece here is that our process is integrated. So While Lorenzo, for example, provides the guidance and support for the funds, your client manager in GCS will be helping you opening your bank account in Portugal. And in our legal team, in parallel, will be working on your immigration process. On average, our teams can complete the process within 3 months from onboarding. So we are very pragmatic, straight to the point, very transparent, and I think that's why we have succeeded to bring and support so many clients over time.
I agree. Okay, so now I'd like to say thank you all, Luis and Lorenzo. I wonder if I should. I'm not going to stop sharing now because first of all, I want to say that my colleague Patrick, who is online now, he diligently answered to most all the questions of the Q&A. So this is really good. Thank you very much. But I think I'd like to show you another slide because apparently this is a very important step. It's some question that came during the Q&A, so it could be useful to visualize the timeline. So then you can see how it starts when you select the eligible fund, then you obtain the tax number and so on. So take a screenshot of this if you want to have a look before you got your email. Don't worry, you will get your email afterwards. But yeah, this is the timeline and it will help you to illustrate how long this process takes. So I'll stop sharing. I think we have one question here. Please compare and contrast the Golden Visa via investment funds with the HQA visa. So yes, I guess Patrick is answering that one now because he's showing it here. But unless Luis wants to do or Lorenzo, I don't know. Would you like to comment?
Yeah, I think the highly qualified visa, you won't have an investment demand. So it's your set of skills that will bring you to the country. I know I've heard about it having more flexibility, but I'm not sure it's as flexible in terms of stay requirements as the Golden Visa, which only requires you to come to Portugal, as Gisane said, 7 days per year or 14 days over a period of 2 years. Majority of funds, the D visas and the highly qualified visa, I think it's the D3, they demand that you relocate to Portugal and that you spend at least 180 days in Portugal, over 183 days. And because due to your profession, those 183 days might be more flexible. But anyway, I think it will never be as flexible as the Golden Visa. But on the other side, it doesn't comes with an investment, just your set of skills that will benefit the country. Let's put it like that.
Thank you. And are there any rural investment opportunities associated with the Golden Visa?
Rural opportunities?
Investment.
Well, Lorenzo mentioned there are like 4 funds. Is it, Lorenzo, 4 funds that have like agriculture as a scope in their investment policy?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think those funds they focus their operation in the agricultural business, and as I said, it can go from high yield crops such as olive, pork, wine, avocados, tangerines. Then you will also have agribusiness funds focusing on forests, very sustainable goals on those ones. And yeah, that's it. You have a certain variety within the agribusiness funds.
Okay. And the next one, because we already reached the mark of 40 minutes. Is there any fund with track record for Golden Visa investors? Is the Golden Visa also called Golden Visa in Portuguese?
Right.
How do you call it in Portuguese, by the way? Visto Gold.
Visto Gold. Yeah.
Yeah.
Portuguese. Yeah.
Or ARI,
Or
exactly.
ARI. Autorização de residência por investimento. It's like a... No, yes. Well, regarding performance, so majority of the the closed-end funds, the venture capital and private equity funds. So we started doing this in 2018, and so we have some history from the fund managers. These funds are not closed yet. Bear in mind that they are long term. So some of them will be closing and over the next couple of years or so. But so far, only good news. You will find that some of fund managers have their subsequent funds, fund 2, fund 3, and they usually update the performance of their previous funds in their prospectus, right? And then in the open-ended funds as well, you have these changes daily, but you can find those that are open-ended. But the closed-end funds, which is majority, you find that some of them are delivering very high returns. Some technology funds there delivering over 20% IRR. Okay.
Just to add to what Luis said, and a bit related, love to share this list with you guys once you happen to decide to move forward. We are constantly updating this information with what the funds share with us. We have some confidentiality restrictions to share up front. That's why it's easier to once we have this fiduciary relation. Funds. On a final note, I wanted to tell you, be careful with the listings that you find out there in the internet, because very often they are not updated. They list funds that have closed for subscription or that are no longer eligible, and that's part of our added value here to make sure that you will have an investment option to pick from.
Sure. Okay, guys, I'm sorry, I have to call it a day. It's yeah, we try to keep it within the mark of 45 minutes. If you haven't had your question answered, contact us on info@globalcitizensolutions.com. I'm saying that, but I'm sure that my colleague Patrick has already sent his email address, or he's currently here on a chat, so that you can book an appointment with him. I also would like to say that we have a huge amount of information available online. We've got videos on our YouTube channel that explains everything that we've explained here, shorter ones. We also got articles, so have a look, see if any answer that was not answered here, any question that was not answered here. If you need some literature, some material to find out more, have a look there. Otherwise, just get in touch with us and we will book an appointment with you. Luis and Lorenzo, thank you very much. This was great. And I look forward to see you in the next webinar.
Thank you for putting this webinar together, Gisele.
Welcome. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.